All right, we're good. Intro when you're ready.
Welcome.
Oh my god! I still had the thought like you're gonna do it, and it's correct. I had the thought that it was correct.
I was literally going to troll with welcome to the Much Worse podcast. I'm one half of your host, Dustin.
Justin.
Even though not Dustin, but anyway, guys, we're going to be talking about the No Way Home trailer, Spider-Man No Way Home, the third Spider-Man movie. Not to be confused with Spider-Man 3 is not.
And thank God that we finally made it to a Spider-Man 3 again. That's just one thing that I'm really appreciating outside not looking at anything about it, but outside the box and just looking down on it on this like perfect form of like, okay, perfect trailer. Look at this. Spider-Man 3 is here again, guys, since 2007. We didn't make it to Amazing Spider-Man 3, so then therefore it got pushed even more. And it's almost like elements of what they were going to do with that, like Sinister Six and all that, is almost kind of being integrated into this without necessarily saying that it's happening. And I really appreciate that. But just kind of want to discuss the movie overall and just like, and after I kind of talk about my thoughts of things that happen in this trailer, wanted to really just go into like a couple like predictions and just kind of like just let this be the place on the internet where my thoughts are gushed out because as a fan of the Raimi films and grew up, I tell people when they talk about Spider-Man and the old movies, I tell people like my dad took me to Spider-Man opening night. Like that was a big thing. I grew up with the animated series and everything, and Spider-Man's what pretty much made me a superhero fan, if I really break it down. And like a huge part of me and Ryan's friendship has been like all of our lives, dude. We've talked about superheroes, and a lot of it was Spider-Man. Like I remember bringing that first Raimi film over, and we watched it, and they really, and Willem Dafoe said this himself, they really pushed superhero movies. We had just had X-Men, and that was it. But, like, I don't know, because, like, the CG and the swinging and stuff on that movie still today holds up really well. It really pushed the boundaries. And Kevin Feige talks about being on set of those films and really just taking notes, and so it makes me kind of realize and think, wow, like if those movies didn't happen, like I'm not saying MCU wouldn't have happened, but it definitely laid a foundation. And to see what I don't want to say they are doing, well, they are doing because the trailer obviously reveals it, but I don't know if I could say that they're doing everything we want with it, but like I'm just saying that those Raimi films matter now more than ever because of this idea of the multiverse. Like, let me see, because I have the trailer pulled up, and I was just going to go into a couple things. I'll just say right off the bat, like, from a trailer standpoint, like, one of the best trailers. Like, every time I've seen it, I have chills on top of chills. And it's not even just because I'm a Spider-Man fan. It's literally because it's a beautifully done trailer because it doesn't give you too much, but it also hypes you up because the stakes are so high. Like, the idea of Peter just fully being revealed to be Spider-Man, and, like, we haven't gotten to actually see that in a movie yet. And that's what I love beautifully about these Spider-Man movies in the MCU is they still are doing their own thing off of and that's why I love Marvel with this. They're doing their own thing with these particular Spider-Man movies, taking inspiration from the comics and all of that. But what did you really like? How did you react? Like, how did you take in the trailer? Because I don't even know if I haven't even got your thoughts yet.
See, this is one of the things with this trailer, and I think this is why I was really eager to kind of wait and do this, because you had said the idea to like, oh, we should just do a podcast now that we started this podcast, which was a great idea because I think me and you, I think we have two completely opposing opinions about this trailer, which I was like, I didn't even say I haven't said a word about my thoughts to Trav. And I'm not saying for a second that it's a bad trailer. I'm not saying that whatsoever, because it's a great trailer. And all of the Spider-Man like MCU trailers, I guess I could say every Spider-Man trailer ever has actually been really good. Like, we go back that far. But yes, the actual trailer is great. But to me, okay, how I'm seeing it, like from the sidelines, is you have all these people saying, or kind of reacting to it in the way that, holy crap, you know, Doc Ock, Alfred Molina, like, is back, and holy crap, I guess Willem Dafoe and everything, like, yes, like that's everyone is freaking out. And ever since the very beginning, I have just been very hesitant on the whole idea. Like, it's very cool. It's a cool idea in general, but it's just one of those things where it's, to me, how it's hitting me is it's more weird. It just feels really weird. Like I did
And
not,
I mean,
I did not have the reaction of like, oh my gosh, like that's not how I reacted at all. I was like,
I have both sides. I have both sides to that. I definitely can agree with you on it being kind of strange, but I think it's just because I've marinated on the idea for so long, because I've watched the channels that are talking about like, when's this trailer going to drop? And it's like, it was a meme at a point where it's like, we don't have this, but and there was this fake news thing. I don't know if you heard this, but there was literally a leaked fake news thing where Kevin Feige had quote unquote quoted like, there won't be a trailer until like at all. And it was fake, obviously, because then he came out with literally with a real quote that said there will, like, at a point where it was like, it's hilarious, where he's just like, there will be a trailer, guys, before the movie comes out. And we had still had that December date, and with COVID and everything, we literally keep having these movies get pushed back. So it's kind of a nice punch in the face to people that that kept thinking that the movie would get pushed back by it saying this December still on the trailer, which is perfect. I just think I am with you on that. From the beginning, the first time I heard that they might do a multiverse, I was just like, man, like, don't do that. Like, I totally understand your feelings, but I think just with time and just really thinking about it and accepting it, I understand your hesitation, but I think as for like a love letter to Spider-Man fans and to those movies, if done right, could be pulled off really, really well. And I understand that because those guys are in the movie, it could get overhyped and everything. And that's some of my negatives about this whole thing. What I want to talk about is like, how high of expectations should we have with this? Because there's people thinking like, there's like teenagers and stuff like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield be right beside Tom Holland the whole movie, and it's like, no, they won't. Like, it's just not like, I just don't believe that at all. And I will say this: ever since Loki came out, and this whole idea of different versions of your character, of a character and stuff like that, really started to almost make it make sense for and there just been slowly here and there throughout the shows and like just little glimpses on the internet just talking about just slowly introducing the multiverse. And now we're to a point in the MCU movies where if you don't watch the shows, then you're behind as well. And that's kind of how Star Wars has been as well. There's some stuff with Clone Wars and stuff where it's like, and Bad Batch, if you don't watch that, then, you know, they're not going to treat movie fans the same way anymore, where it's like the general audience to go in there and be confused. Like, you know, basically what me and you always joke about is like our parents and grandparents walking into movies and just being like, what's going on? Like, that's going to start happening more and more because like I do totally understand. Like, and I, you know, I'm on the side of this. This is my side to the whole thing. If they would have left the multiverse out of Spider-Man 3 and just it be its own thing, then I would have been fine. If that would have been the plan and you left Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe in just their own movies and those stories be closed, I would have respected it because I was always kind of a believer in that. I was like, you know, the multiverse shouldn't happen because it's just too confusing. And we thought they were going to do that with Far From Home, with Mysterio saying multiverse or whatever, but he was faking it. So it was like this weird, like, oh, it doesn't exist. Oh, wait, it does exist. Like, it was a weird flip. But I will say that with all that, they're definitely doing a good job at surprising us because, like, this trailer, and I let me just say this. Let me say this is my perfect, like, golden rule thing of why I think that the multiverse turns out to be what could turn out to be a really good idea, is because that means that the stakes are higher than they've ever been in the MCU. I mean, forget like being dusted and all that and Thanos. Like, yeah, like it's like, how could the MCU escalate itself into a higher threat other than Thanos? Like, because we knew that the movies would continue after that. And, you know, me and you both had kind of that opinion on like, okay, after Thanos, Far From Home takes place, and it just feels a little bit like, it's sad because Tony, but it feels like, well, this threat isn't as much of a threat because we've seen the highest threat there can be. It's like getting to the final ultimate boss on like Zelda or something, and then just like, oh, continuing the games without that boss, and it's just like a tiny, you know, those sequels where they've done that, where the threat after the big threat is smaller. That's how I see this, is like, the only way to truly make it matter would be something like as intense as the multiverse. Because whatever happened with Doctor Strange doing that is literally like, oh, other dimensions. And just like I said, the more I've marinated on the idea of a multiverse in the MCU, the more I've really started to be like, okay, like, it doesn't make sense, but it will. Like, it's one of those things that's like, you know, so it's like how can we come off of Thanos and find a bigger threat, you know? And multiverse is like, oh my, just imagine like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and like Electro from Amazing Spider-Man and everything. Like, he's gonna have the worst time taking on, and that there's no telling what else is happening. And a lot of other people are thinking that Ryda's I don't know, this may not be true at all, but this is a speculation. Ryda's Doctor Strange does the thing and makes everything bad. Like, that's like right when Loki and female Loki do their thing, because there was a moment there, you know, and Scarlet Witch, people think that the black guy is saying like, oh, something just changed, is like the Scarlet Witch moment of her becoming her full self. I don't know. I think it'd be kind of cheesy if we found out that like all that happened at one particular moment. People are saying like everyone's messing up everything at once, and then that's kind of why. I don't know. There's a lot to that, but I don't know, man. I just think like it's just a really cool idea, but at the same time, I don't want them, and I'm sure this is your opinion as well, I don't want them to take away from Peter Parker, Tom Holland being the lead and the story driving factor. And you know what? This trailer does a good job to me of portraying like, okay, everyone knows you're Spider-Man. There's no worse thing other than death. If you were Spider-Man, everyone finding out you're Spider-Man, there'd be no other worse thing other than death. Unless, unless someone else dying or whatever. But, that to me is scary. And this trailer really captures this, like, heavy vibe going to court and all this. Like, it's, and that's what I want out of a Spider-Man 3, for it to be escalated to the point of, like, yeah, make it a little darker than Spider-Man 2, like, because you kind of have to come off of what happened with Endgame and everything. So I appreciate it for that.
But okay, so here's my rebuttal to my own self, because of course I wasn't like I wasn't feeling like, oh yeah, like I wasn't, shouting at the screen like in amazement or anything. Like, yes, it is cool that it's pretty much confirmed to me, because I mean, yes, like Alfred Molina, that was confirmed like forever ago or whatever. But like, I didn't know about like the Willem Dafoe at all.
Yeah, I actually personally, even though it was confirmed before, I wish they would have kept that out. Like, if they would have just held off with the pumpkin ball moment is cool, because it's obviously if you're a Raimi Spider-Man fan, you know the shape and the look of it, and I did have like a like, I was like, whoa, like they're really doing that. Like, I knew about it, but I didn't think it was gonna be anything about Goblin in the trailer, and I kind of wish they wouldn't have. Like, I didn't need it, but that from how much people have waited and known they're going to do this multiverse, they had to give us a multiverse somebody. And I think it would have been fine even if they would have held off on the pumpkin bomb and just had the voiceover of like, be careful what you wish for, Parker, and it's so obviously Defoe, or not even that at all. Someone else says it or something like that. You know how trailers do, like they switch up the dialogue from the movie. I bet half of this dialogue isn't even going to be in the movie. Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
But if you would have left out the pumpkin bomb and just maybe cut to like just that explosion on the bridge, and then it cuts to Doc Ock, as soon as you see the arms, you know who it is. Yeah. And like, hello, Peter. And just like that moment to be built all the way to the end of the trailer with no multiverse anything, that because people that are like in the complete dark but love those original that trilogy are freaking out as well, because even if you've barely watched the MCU, this is like something you're gonna go see, and it has potential to do even better than something like Endgame, especially with those trailer views. It did the job exactly the way it needed to. It got me like so locked into what the heck is happening, because I want answers for everything, and that's what you need. Obviously, me and you are going to go because it's a brand new MCU movie and we've not missed one in theaters. But it got me hooked as a movie fan. Like, the trailer was just really well put together. Plus the music, it had kind of the classic Spider-Man theme. And, I just think it did a really good job in that way, as to like, we knew multiverse was happening, but now it's kind of like, whoa, what is happening and why is this happening? Because I truly believe, and this is just a little prediction of mine, is like the whole Peter talking to Doctor Strange while he's trying to perform the spell and it messes up. I think that's just a trick in the editing. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's just probably just a like he told him to do, like, don't cast that spell. Like, there's something else to that. It's not because of Peter. Like, I just don't think so. I think that's a little silly to be like, oh, I can't focus. And then like, but if it is, it also kind of makes sense, because Peter is he's reckless. And I love this version of Spider-Man so far, because he kind of is a kid growing up and he's trying to not be a child and grow up and become the hero that people need. And that's one theme of Spider-Man that's always been there. But I just don't think that it's because of Peter. Like, I feel like there's more to it. But anyway, I got a couple more things, but I'll let you share some more thoughts.
All right, so here's the big rebuttal, like I was saying, to what I was saying earlier about like me thinking it's weird, thinking it's strange.
Nice.
But
Steven.
so I was gathering my thoughts, and I was telling Hannah, like I told her like all my thoughts front to back, like quite a few thoughts, and kind of what she was piecing together was more so that she's looking at it, and this made me kind of look at it like this too, even though it's similar, but not really. It kind of, I don't know. But my original, because Trav might remember my original thoughts on the Avengers coming out. When that was first coming out, I was very hesitant. I was like, yo, this is gonna be so weird. I do not think
we
I'm
had
gonna
never
like
seen
this.
anything like that before. There
'Cause,
was literally
like
never a movie that did like a big. I mean, there's shows that have crossed over, but not on this level, not on blockbuster level.
No, I mean, so this is like a new layer to that. That's
That
like
makes sense. It's like a milestone in the MCU to do something big again.
I applaud her for making that kind of connection, because that made me kind of feel like maybe I am wrong in thinking it is so weird. Like how weird it seems to me. And this is another way I put it to her.
I'm totally behind you on that.
This is how weird it seems is okay, it's literally like you're on the bus going to school and junior high, and somebody's like, yeah, man, that'd be so cool if Doc Ock was in.
I literally have a friend that did
movie.
That. Like, literally, I told Angel in the podcast we did about the Batman trailer, I told him my buddy Harley Harper from school, shout out to him, he's probably never going to hear this, but he literally in computer class said to me, like, it'd be kind of cool if just like if they just why can't there be a movie where they just merge like all the like he was basically predicting like maybe there'll be multiple Spider-Men throughout time in movies, and then at one point they'll just band together and battle like all of their villains. Like that literally is happening now, and I honestly can't believe it on a critical standpoint and a fan standpoint, because on a critical standpoint and kind of on your side of it, I'm looking at it too as like this could be garbage. It could really fall apart quick. But the thing is with that is like mostly Marvel so far with the MCU has been all really good ideas. You know what I mean? Like we've had like a couple ones that are like, not so good or whatever, but I just see it as this is like, if this was any other company doing this, I would not trust it. If it was like just Sony only being like, all right, we're gonna like, oh geez, it'd be so. But this is the MCU, and I feel like at this point they have earned my trust a little more. I'm back in the like literally 5 years ago, if you would have told me this is absolutely happening for a fact, then I would have been like, there's no way it's gonna work. But now that I've marinated on it, it's like, okay, and like I said, with the idea of variance in mind, I feel like you could do something, make something really make sense, because we don't know if these villains are actually from their universes. Because I'm with Greg Alba from Real Rejects on this. I think the Green Goblin thing, he's excited about Green Goblin, but I think, I don't want that to disrupt what happened in that trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, Goblin gets killed, and then Harry seeks vengeance. Like, there's a story there that if you do what the rumors are, if they literally do the portals or whatever right before they die, like it's supposed to be like right, Doc Ock sacrifices himself and turns good, by the way, which is really weird to me as well, that he would just be like, okay, I'm bad. Like, I think there's more to it. I feel like there's definitely more to it than meets the eye. Variance is my biggest prediction with this. But if it's not, and it actually is them, hopefully it can come to a close where they still hold that trilogy in place. And in a way, if you really think about it, this is kind of their way of making Spider-Man 3 never happen. If they like, in a way, if they could do that, where they're like, yeah, because the rumor is that Raimi would love, because he just did not like the way 3 turned out, and I mean, look at the pieces being put together here. He is directing Multiverse of Madness. And if Tobey Maguire is in this Spider-Man 3, you could have a character like him carry over to like help Strange with something else or whatever. I don't know. I don't think Andrew Garfield. I think this will be just Andrew. If Andrew Garfield is in this movie, it's like this will just be it. He'll have a closing story, but Tobey Maguire will be the one to have like the comeback and be in other MCU films. That's just what I think. And because to fix it, because the title of the new Doctor Strange movie is Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So that means that it does not come to a close in this movie at all. So it'll probably still be messed up. Or in some form messed up. I don't know. But I feel like you're going to need a character like Peter, like Tobey Maguire's Peter or something like that to like, obviously get butts in seats, but and I'm with you on that too. I can hear your thoughts now about like, hopefully all this is not just a butts in seats mentality and money grabber, But like I said, I have more trust in Marvel than that. I just feel like this is a long time plan. This is like Kevin Feige was like, we're gonna lay out. I feel like longer ago than we think they had this idea laid out, where it's like multiverse in the future. Okay, let's get the pieces in place. What are we gonna do with this? Because it is fan service. Think about it. Like, okay, Alfred Molina and Willem Dafoe. Like, obviously, there's something to be hyped about with that. Like, there's obviously, but it's like, but I personally hope, just like you, where it's like, I hope it doesn't disrupt anything. Where it's like, oh, stuff didn't happen in those movies now, and they don't matter.
My biggest thing, because before you even said the whole like, well, if you bring them like for like an example being Doc Ock, like you said, turning good right at the end and dying, like it's like that was my first thought. I'm like, so I guess Doc Ock just didn't die. Like,
I know, right? Like it's not,
obviously, but that's where the theories come in. But to me, overall, I just saw it and I was like, weird. Like it wasn't like a big like jumping out of my seat screaming.
Like Angel, oh my god, he's still, oh my god, Angel. Just, I think it's like the Batman trailer still number Angel one. When I say that. And then, bro, literally second place trailer reaction is that, because he saw the freaking bomb and he went, like freaking like, and I love it. I love Angel,
which is funny because I didn't even see that reaction.
He's the best trailer reactor there ever will be. Period. Like, because of how much he's into cinema. Like, he is like in it, like every frame of every movie. And
I love
like
them.
I can understand your standpoint, because like, and you kind of grew up Spidey fan-ish, but not as much as obviously like me or Angel.
That's kind of what I was going through in my head too, like when I was discussing it with Hannah, because we arrived at like, well, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it won't be so weird. It is the MCU,
but it could be. You're right, and it's terrible. Like, it could easily, but it's like, and hopefully not.
Everyone has a different relationship with the Raimi Spider-Man movies. And I even have a totally different relationship with those movies even than you.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's another layer of weird where I'm like, well, those movies are really freaking good. 1 and 2. But
2 still holds as like the best Spider-Man movie, really.
And it's like,
but
do I want this? It's like,
I know. Yeah, that's kind of the question. There was a guy that found Tobey Maguire in New York, and I do believe it was whatever it's called, the forest park in New York City. They spotted him there. He got a picture with him, and he asked him the obvious question. It's like, I don't want to be rude about this or anything, but just I gotta ask to see your reaction to this. Are you in Spider-Man No Way Home? And Toby supposedly was very nice, very cool. He always seemed like he'd probably be a cool person, talk to or whatever and meet. And one day, hopefully, I can meet him because I'm a fan, All he gave him was a smile and a wink, So it's like, I feel like it's pretty much confirmed. I don't know. That's pretty much all the thoughts I had on it. Like all boiled down because it was extremely detailed and kind of hard to explain that. I just feel like people should put their expectations in check. Yes, be excited about the movie, but don't I know people, man, that are going into all this like this is what's going to happen and this is what's going to happen. It's like the MCU, if I learned anything from the MCU, is that they do the opposite. So it just, yeah, it's just like I want to be hyped about the movie, but I'm going to just really hesitantly be excited because obviously I'm excited about these characters. I feel like it's a cool idea to give these actors another chance to be these characters again after so many years, man. It has been a long time. But do it right, please, Marvel.
I think that right when you said right at the beginning, because if I knew this, I guess it was something I more so forgot or just didn't think about for a while. I think the perfect full circle of the whole thing is the fact that Kevin Feige was there at those original Spider-Man movies.
Crazy to think about. It just looks good. If I could have just said that. Thanks
for listening, guys. This is our thoughts on the No Way Home teaser, first trailer, and yeah. Have an awesome week, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.